What's older than we think? The O connector that we still use for headphones and speakers was invented in 1877. There have been improvements since, but the basics of it are pretty much the same. The first carbonated drink to be sold to the public was invented by Swiss watchmaker and amateur scientist J.J. Schwepp in 1783, who sold his delicious sparkling water to thirsty customers in Geneva. In just 7 years, he was doing business so fast that he moved the factory to London and introduced a new flavor, sparkling lemon, to stand out from competitors who were trying to imitate his drink. Beer is thought to be older than bread. It's much easier to fill a jar with wheat and water, let it ferment, and brew beer than it is to grind grain, mix it, and bake it. The fact that the lighter is older than the match shook my head as a kid. It also gave me the curiosity to question things that seems obvious. I was really surprised to discover when Oxford University was founded. They don't know the year for sure, but they know there was definitely teaching going on there in 1096. The electric car. What is likely the first human-carrying electric vehicle with its own power source was tested along a Paris street in April 1881 by French inventor Gustave Eiffel. The first crude electric car was built in the 1830s, but it was essentially a semi-functioning model. The electric car was a direct competitor to gasoline-powered vehicles until the 1920s, when roads got better, people started driving further than the range of an electric car, and the world started finding major oil reserves. Nougat Range in Ireland. It's a man-made Neolithic stone structure that predates the Great Pyramids and Stonehenge. It's a wonder that it isn't one of the great wonders of the world. Here is a fantastic video on it. Geographics is a great channel all around. Cruise control, power windows and automatic headlights. I saw all three on a 1955 Cadillac. Oh, and the radio on it had a seek function. The ancient Romans, well, the wealthy ones, had central heating in their homes. You can actually still see the pipes in some of the buildings at Herculaneum. The sentiment that modern society is degenerate and that the youth are to blame is, one of the oldest things we have written down. That I can remember off the top of my head. Cato the Elder complained that the younger generations were becoming too Greek, and Socrates used to complain that the younger generations were ruining their brains by writing instead of memorizing information. There are far more older examples, but those are the oldest I remember. Maybe Socrates was onto something. Edit. A few people have pointed out the Socrates thing is a misquote. So maybe pseudo-Socrates was onto something instead equals L. Oreos. I was shocked to learn that Oreos predate chocolate chip cookies, sliced bread, and my 100-year-old great-grandmother. Brain surgery. In 1997, archaeologists discovered an ancient tomb in the French village of Ensisheim from 5000 BC, which contained the decomposing body of a 50-year-old man with holes in his skull. After a thorough examination, it was determined that the holes, located near the frontal lobe, were caused by a type of surgery, not by forced trauma, and the operation appears to have been successful because the wounds healed before the patient's death. To this day, however, researchers cannot say for sure what exactly the surgery was trying to fix. The name Tiffany. It dates back to the 12th century, and has actually led to a thing in writing called the Tiffany problem, because you can have a well-researched historical novel that people just don't buy into, because you named your 12th century peasant Tiffany. It just sounds laughably anachronistic. For a lot of us, ourselves. I've known for a while that I'm older now than my mom and dad were when I was born, but the other day, I realized I actually have memories of them when they were younger than I am now. That's proper weird to think about and really made me think I'm a lot older than I feel. That said, my parents are older than I think too. They're only a few years away from the age I remember my Nana and Granddad being. Social media. Wealthy ancient Romans had a system where they used slaves as scribes and messengers in order to share gossip and art, poetry and news updates with friends in their social circle. Light. It may only take 8 minutes for light to travel to Earth from surface of the Sun, but the light bounces around inside the Sun for over 10,000 years before it reaches the surface.